Hi everyone, I'm Hannah McAdams, and today I want to talk about automatic spelling, and specifically, does automatic spelling use an Orton-Gillingham approach? There are different preferences between using people first language and identity first language within the dyslexic community. To be inclusive, in this video, I will alternate between the terms a person with dyslexia and a dyslexic person. I am part of this community and I tend to use both terms interchangeably when referring to myself or my children. Okay, so does automatic spelling use an Orton-Gillingham approach, or I like to say, is ASOG? The Orton-Gillingham approach to teaching reading is the most researched approach to teaching students with dyslexia how to read. I am so thankful for the research of Dr. Samuel Orton and Miss Anna Gillingham for studying the brain and finding ways to teach dyslexic students how to read. I have researched spelling programs for almost 10 years. I have found that the Orton-Gillingham experts use two criteria to decide whether a spelling program can be considered an Orton-Gillingham approach to spelling. Now, there may be more, but these are the main two. First is the credentials of the writer or the curriculum developer, and second is the presence of the components of an Orton-Gillingham approach. So let's talk about the first one, the credentials of the writer. So let's talk about the credentials of the writer. Me, I am Hannah McAdams, and the first thing I want to say is that I am a dyslexic learner. I think that that's really important because I developed a spelling program for weak spellers, and I myself am a recovering weak speller. I know how they think, I know how they're going to try to spell, and I know ways to reach them. I will talk more about that. I have an elementary teaching license from Johnson University. I also have an add-on, which is like a minor in English as a second language. That actually has become very useful for spelling because I studied linguistics. I have a working knowledge of grammar and how also we make different sounds, which muscles, whether we use teeth, tongue, throat, those kind of things where all the sounds take place in the mouth. So I have studied all of that, and that actually comes in very handy for spelling. I have a master's degree in holistic education. I worked for 8 years as a classroom teacher, and I'm on my 10th year as a homeschool mom and tutor. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the fact that I'm a dyslexic learner. This is me in the 4th grade, and I hated spelling. I had finally learned to read. I had struggled with school for a long time. Things were starting to fall into place, and I was making, more progress, understanding a lot more in school. But spelling just about did me in. And I remember telling my parents, as they were trying to help me study for spelling tests, that it just didn't make sense. The way that we were studying spelling didn't make sense to me. I gave them it was complaining, but I gave them lots of reasons why I knew the spelling program I was using in my school was not working. I said this: spelling programs should have fewer words per lesson. In the 4th grade, in this picture, I was studying 30 words a week, and that was way too many for me. Okay, I said spelling programs should not teach homophones together. I said spelling programs should not teach the same spelling pattern in the same lesson. For example, all the words shouldn't end in AT, hat, cat, mat, and sat. I know a lot of people like that. It works really well to teach children to read that way. But my problem with it was I did real well in the spelling test. But then when it was time to use those words outside of the spelling test, I couldn't recall them. I just sort of cheated my way through the spelling test, but I didn't retain anything. And I also said spelling programs should have more opportunities for review. Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about my credentials. For one thing, I am only self-trained in Orton-Gillingham methods. Okay, I have studied Orton-Gillingham for 8 years by reading books, watching videos, and using Orton-Gillingham curriculum. But I have not taken any Orton-Gillingham classes, so I cannot claim automatic spelling to be an Orton-Gillingham approach. And now a haiku. I'm not a purist. Out of the box I will glean. I am dyslexic. Okay, I wrote that kind of to be silly, but also to answer a question that some people have. The people that are in the Orton-Gillingham world are not quite sure what to do with me because I'm not in that box that is Orton-Gillingham. Now, please understand I have the highest respect for that box. But just like we don't expect our dyslexic students to be in a box, I'm an adult with dyslexia and I'm also out of the box. So instead of being a purist, I take great ideas and put them together. So I use a lot of Orton-Gillingham methods. I'll show you what specifically I do in a minute. But I also have some other ideas that I think are really effective with weak spellers, whether they're dyslexic or not. I don't need to spend years studying the dyslexic brain because I live with one. I understand my brain very well. I understand how I think. I understand how other students with dyslexia think because this has been with me for 42 years. And also I use my educational background to kind of translate the way that I think into methods that actually are effective for students with dyslexia. Okay, now I want to talk about the components of an Orton-Gillingham approach. So, Orton-Gillingham must be phonics based, okay? And let's talk about automatic spelling. Automatic spelling identifies phonograms in every word. Okay, it must be multisensory. Okay, in automatic spelling, we rely on visual, written, and oral senses every single day for every single word. There are also kinesthetic extensions, suggestions that I have for tricky words. Okay, spelling rule instruction. We analyze every single word according to their spelling rules and phonograms. And explicit, systematic, and incremental. Okay, so yes, some may argue with the order that I choose, but it is very systematic. It is incremental. We start really simply and we go on. It gets more complicated. It is cumulative. Everything we do, we repeat over and over again. It's very explicit. I think that the reason that some argue with my order is because they're talking about Orton-Gillingham, which is created for students to learn to read and spell. Most of my students are already reading, so I don't have to start way back at the beginning with them. I don't take those baby steps. I'm not arguing with the Orton-Gillingham order of, presentation of lessons, but I kind of skip some of those things just because I don't have to do them. Okay, individualized. Yes, students work at their own pace. Some students do one lesson every single day. Some students do one lesson every 2 days, and some students take a whole week per lesson. It just really depends on the student and their level and where they need to be. And I do have a very good system to kind of help parents or teachers know how to individualize the program for their students. Okay, and then the other thing that I want to talk about is automatic spelling has spiral review. That is a big difference between Orton-Gillingham and automatic spelling. Orton-Gillingham definitely says, yes, we need to review, but automatic spelling is very, very specifically designed to spiral. I'm not going to talk too much about how automatic spelling works, but I will say that we usually have 7 new words per lesson. They're repeated in a 60-word grid 3 times, so that's 21 words, and then 39 of the other 39 are all review words from other lessons. So we're actually reviewing more than we're doing new words, and it keeps building on, and by the end, students are able to retain more or the spelling of more words than a typical spelling program usually allows. Okay, remember that 4th grade Hannah there who said spelling programs should have fewer words per lesson, not teach homophones together, not teach the same spelling pattern throughout the same list, and have more opportunities to review. I took all of those complaints I had as a girl about spelling and packaged them into automatic spelling. Now, I also, used my teaching background and all of that to make it a little more than just an answer to a complaint of a 4th grader, but I did use those ideas that I had in the 4th grade to create this spelling program. When many people ask if automatic spelling uses an Orton-Gillingham approach, I think what they mean is, will automatic spelling work for a student with dyslexia? Automatic spelling is a good choice for weak spellers who need more practice than a typical or an Orton-Gillingham spelling program allows. There is no perfect program and no perfect fit for every student, but many students with dyslexia have found success using automatic spelling. I believe that automatic spelling complements an Orton-Gillingham program very well. Another question I hear a lot is automatic spelling research-based, or does automatic spelling use what we know about the science of reading? We know a lot about the positive effects of a spiral math program in helping students retain information. I applied this theory to spelling. I already mentioned that automatic spelling teaches spelling rules and phonograms and analyzes each word according to both. This is a type of orthographic mapping, and we have learned through the science of reading, through all of the research that we've been doing for 20, 30 years, that orthographic mapping is a very effective way to help students learn to read and to spell. So I do that naturally all the time. In conclusion, at this time, I cannot claim that automatic spelling is an Orton-Gillingham approach to spelling because of my lack of training and because of some minor deviations from the Orton-Gillingham approach. However, automatic spelling complements the Orton-Gillingham approach very well. If an expert in Orton-Gillingham chooses to give automatic spelling the seal of approval, I'll let you know. I'm really not sure how that even works, and I'm not going to pursue it, but if somebody in the Orton-Gillingham world says, yes, this is perfect, I'll let you know. Okay, automatic spelling was based on research in math, which I then applied to spelling. This is true. I noticed that my daughter was doing really well with a math program that spiraled math facts and just learned them or introduced just a few each lesson. And I thought, I wonder if I can do this with spelling. So it was definitely based on research. I do believe that it aligns nicely with what we know about the science of reading. I hope to do more formal research in the next few years, but until then, please enjoy these anecdotal testimonies. My 7-year-old granddaughter and I are not only learning, but enjoying automatic spelling. On a whim, I switched to automatic spelling. I love it. It is a constant spiral review of words. It has been my favorite program over all the big name spelling programs. My daughter is a struggling speller, age 10. We came to the conclusion that she just can't spell when I found automatic spelling. She has begun catching spelling mistakes in her writing. As she watches the videos, she will pause to analyze which spelling rule is used. I can see that she is starting to recognize patterns in spelling. I finally have hope that she will be a competent speller. This is the spelling curriculum I have been looking for, and it's so wonderful with my 10-year-old. Spelling has always been the bane of our homeschool day, but we are both actually enjoying it for the first time. Thank you for making spelling approachable and effective. I like that spelling is not one and done. The circle of repeating words is better for me. I can now spell beautiful and I will probably never forget it. That was from Luke, who is a student with dyslexia. I love how much my son with dyslexia has learned from automatic spelling. The words that were chosen and the adding of suffixes to make additional words are great. He is often self-correcting. Automatic spelling is working for my son. So I hope that that answers some of your questions. If you're interested in automatic spelling, I've got other videos that are really more specific for that, but it does use spiral review, phonogram and spelling rules, homophones, heteronyms, and daily work with dictation, suffixes, plurals and possessives, and editing. And I will put a link in the description below. That's all I have for you today, guys. I will talk to you next time.